What comes to mind when you hear the word football? Many of you will probably think of college football or the NFL. The FIFA World Cup is currently being played in the country of Brazil. Prior to this year's FIFA World Cup, I had never watched soccer and I thought it was very dull and boring. However, after watching this year, I have found it to be very exciting following my country throughout the tournament. I am going to cover the FIFA World Cup because I believe it's a big current event where many different cultures come together to compete on one stage. The FIFA World Cup works very similar to the Olympic Games. It is hosted by a different country every 4 years. I'm going to cover some of the history of the World Cup and the rules and regulations of the game. The World Cup has many similarities to the Olympic Games, however, it has not been around nearly as long. This year marks the 20th FIFA World Cup tournament, while the modern Olympics have been around for 27 games since 1896. The first international cup was originally a sport of the 1900 and 1904 Summer Olympic Games. This is where FIFA gets its structure and selection process as to where it will be played. As the sport of soccer became more and more popular, it broke away from the Olympic Games. As a result, in 1904, the Federation of International Football Association, or otherwise known as FIFA, was created. However, it took 25 years for the organization to establish rules, regulations, and a selection process as to where the games would be played. So in 1930, the very first FIFA World Cup was hosted in the country of Uruguay. The bidding and selection process to host a World Cup is very similar to the Olympic Games as well. The bid process is defined by some of the following key factors. FIFA will send out requests for expressions of interest to countries. Candidates will express an interest in bidding for a specific event. FIFA will then send out bidding information, including the bidding manual and supporting documents, as well as a hosting agreement. FIFA will then hold a workshop for interested bidders. Candidates will return bidding agreement confirming compliance with bid requirements. FIFA will evaluate the bid submissions and identifies select candidates for approval. FIFA will then make a recommendation and announce the successful host for the next event. Now, much like any other organized sport such as the NFL or MLB, there are rules and regulations to the FIFA World Cup. These are also known as the laws of the game. Now, there are roughly 18 laws, however, I'm not going to cover them all. I'm just going to cover some of the basic ones that you would need to know if you didn't know anything about soccer. The first law is known as the field of play. Matches must be held on a natural or artificial surface. The color of the surface must be green. Law number 3, regarding to the number of players. The game must be played between two teams, each team consisting of no more than 11 players. The game will not begin if there are less than 7 players. Law number 7, the duration of the match. Each match consists of two 45-minute periods. Additional time can be added at the 90-minute mark for the following: substitutions, assessments of injuries to players, removal of injured players from the field, or simply wasting time. An example of this would be if someone got injured and they had to address that. The clock is a continuous clock, therefore it would not stop. So they would add They would add time at the 90-minute mark when the game was supposed to be originally done. Law number 12, fouls and misconduct. A kick is awarded to the opposing team when one of the following offenses is committed. Kicks are attempts to kick an opponent. Trips are attempts to trip an opponent. Jumps at an opponent. Charges at an opponent. Or strikes are attempts to strike an opponent. Pushes or tackles an opponent. So an example of this would be this year at the 2014 FIFA World Cup, a player from the country of Uruguay actually bit an opponent on his shoulder. This player was given a red card and then was kicked out of the tournament permanently for this year. Now I'm going to go over the cards regarding the yellow card. So a yellow card is given out as a warning to a player. If a player, let's say a referee catches him jumping at an opponent or attempts to trip him, he'll use his discretion and may give him a yellow card as a warning to not do it again. His next offense, however, will be a red card. So, for example, like the player from Uruguay was given a red card and was not only kicked out of that game, but also as the tournament as a whole. So now, as far as like determining a winner, when let's say, for example, a game comes down to where it's tied at 1-1, when the duration of the game is over and it's tied, they'll have what's called a shootout. Each team will choose 5 separate players, and they will shoot at the goal 5 times. At the end of that shootout, whoever has the most goals will win that game. Now, I'm going to go over some of the strict rules. As you can see, some of the FIFA World Cup this tournament has many strict rules and is a tough competition to determine the best on the world stage. We as Americans, I feel, are sometimes focused so much on watching American baseball, football, and basketball that we ignore one of the world's most popular sports. Now, I encourage everyone to give soccer a try and watch the FIFA World Cup final this coming weekend.